Welcome to Story Chats at Inspy Romance. I'm Elizabeth Madry, and I'm here with my two co-hosts.
I'm Narelle Atkins.
I'm Valerie Comer.
All right, today we are talking about CCR set in Mississippi and Arkansas. And if I'd been paying better attention when I started combining them, I would have done Mississippi and Alabama, since they're actually next to each other as opposed to Mississippi and Arkansas. But whatever.
Maybe that's why my brain kept going to Alabama.
Probably.
I just kept, and I'm not actually like that super familiar with that geography there because I've never driven through that part. But my brain just kept going, Alabama, Arkansas, where are we? So I'm pretty sure the books I've got are Arkansas, though.
Hopefully. If not, they're Alabama. So, bonus. Somewhere down there in the South near the Gulf.
Somewhere.
And I couldn't come up with any fascinating or insightful questions to talk about Mississippi and see, there I go, Arkansas at all. Like, I don't think I've ever been to Arkansas. And Mississippi is just hot and sticky. So
you have a former president from Arkansas, because I remember the first time I ever heard that name was in, I don't even know which president it is.
Bill Clinton.
You have a president. There you go. And I didn't even know Arkansas was a thing or a place or anything until then. So trivia from Australia.
There we go. Yes, Bill Clinton is from Arkansas. I still don't think I've been there. So maybe I have. Maybe I've driven through it. I don't know, but I didn't have any amazing things to talk about it. So we'll just jump into books, because if you're from Arkansas or Mississippi and you have a fascinating fact that we should know about your state, please let us know.
Please do. We need it.
Yeah, I need help. Apparently.
Can we spell? I can't even spell Mississippi. That was a spelling word when I was in primary school.
Yeah, I was going to say that's one you have to learn as an elementary school kid. And
in Australia back in the day, you had to learn it here too. Yeah.
Oh, really? Did you? Okay.
That's the first time I ever came across Mississippi, was when we had to spell it. It's like this river. I'm like, drats, why is it a river that we have to learn how to spell?
There. Who wants to start? Narelle wants to start.
I will start. So I will admit I had terrible trouble with this one, and I would come across historicals, because I also read historicals, because I read everything. So I think that I'm okay for something, and then I realize that it doesn't fit CCR, and then I'm totally not okay. So you see Narelle's crazy world on this here, where I have no idea what I'm doing. But anyway, I have one that I read, and I knew I'd read this one because I remembered the cover, and it's in Arkansas. And it's an old Heart Song Presents one that's now being reissued in 3-in-1, and it was from Shannon Taylor Vannatter, and it's White Roses.
Yeah.
And I remember really enjoying this book, although I think it came out in 2010, so it is a long time ago, and I don't actually remember a lot about the story, but it was back when a lot of CCR was focused on having pastor heroes. I don't know if you've been reading CCR for a long time, you'll know that go back 10, 15 years, and every second book you'd pick up had a pastor hero in it.
I don't remember that.
I remember that.
I can't remember anything, but
I do remember that. So in this particular one, we've got the pastor who's a widower with a young child, a son, and the heroine is the sister of the new associate pastor at the church, and he is really cut up about losing his wife, and I think it was an accident. It wasn't expected, and he's really the grieving widower trying to keep this church going. So they've got a new pastor coming in to help him out because he really needs help. And the heroine, her name is Adria. So unusual, not Andrea, which is what I was reading it. You know how when you skim read something, you don't read properly? And they say you read the first letter, the last letter, and then if you're reading fast, you don't necessarily join the dots. And her name is actually Adria. And she is the florist, and she's the one who does the flowers for funerals and stuff. So she'd actually done the funeral flowers as well. So I remember it being an emotional read. I remember it being very much he needed to get over the fact that he'd lost his dear wife, and could he move on, and his son needs a mother and that type of story. But unfortunately, I ran out of time. I didn't get a chance to reread it, because if we reread all the books we talked about, we would actually never do anything else in our lives. We actually have lives
That's
apart from
true.
story chats.
And
Yeah,
nobody
so
pays us well enough to do story chats that we can just afford to read for a living.
yes. So it's White Roses by
Shannon's husband is a pastor as well, so I'm sure she was able to pull personal stuff into that. So cool.
And the collection name that you can find it under, that's been reissued by the publisher, is Arkansas Weddings. So at least that's easy to remember, and she's got 3 in there.
That it is, it's one of mine that I had. I actually sought this out because I was struggling to find something. So I was just like searching in Goodreads, Arkansas. And I was like, oh, Shannon, that's going to be CCR. So I did recently read these. But really, I mean, for all that you said, your memory was rusty. It's not. You got the high points.
Well, that's good. At least I can remember something.
Yeah. What is sort of maybe interesting to know is all 3 stories intertwined. The car accident where the pastor's wife was killed factors into the lives of all the people in all 3 stories. They're all sort of interconnected. Because Adria had been engaged, and she broke off the engagement when she caught him in bed with someone else, which then
as you would do,
yes, as I highly recommend you do, should that ever happen to you. And so he then gave up on his sobriety, and so spiraled into this big pit. So then that factors into, so there's all kinds of little intertwining twists and turns among all 3 of these books related to this accident. So yeah, they are emotional. Emotional is a good word for it, because it's just it's emotional. And the pastor also, you're like, you need therapy. You need to find another pastor friend to help you with this, because he was not grieving like with an end to grief in mind. Not that grief ever stops, but like an easing to grief in mind. Like he just was wallowing. He really was just wallowing.
Which you can see in real life.
Yeah.
But when you're in a book, you don't have that luxury the same way. You need to be a little bit past that to make a decent hero or heroine.
Well, and I would say even in real life, if you have a child who's depending on you, you owe it to yourself and your child to get the help that you need to move,
to pull it together a bit.
Together. Yeah. You have
it's
to.
It's hard, but it is. But when you apply character, when you apply to be a hero or heroine in someone's romance novel, you have to be actually ready to fall in love. Yes. Even if you don't really think you are.
Yes.
So all of you out there, you characters who are thinking of auditioning,
be ready.
Be ready.
Yeah. All right, Valerie, what you got?
My first one is the Honey Haven series by Jessica Patch. You might not know that before Jessica R. Patch, before she wrote Suspense, she wrote this series. And so you know that I don't love suspense, and this isn't suspenseful. So now I no longer, sorry, Jessica, no longer follow her, because the very first book is called Under the Honey Moon, not one word, which is a fun story in which the heroine, Juliet, has been remodeling the old house that her grandparents left to her, turning it into a B&B. And she is at her parents' house for her 28th birthday, and everybody is singing her, her siblings and her parents, and she's just like over it. She just wants to go back to her house, and but she's remembering that on her 18th birthday 10 years ago, Bowie Nichols promised to marry her if she was still single in 10 years, and she walks out of her parents' house, and there he is. All her dreams come true, except that he's there to book the honeymoon cottage for his fiancée, which is not her. So if you don't love books about a character, speaking to you, Beth,
Yes.
if you don't like books about a character who's engaged to somebody else at the beginning and then realizes it's all wrong and falls in love with the person that they're meant to be fallen in love with, you might not appreciate this book. But I thought that Jessica handled it pretty well. It's not a huge taboo for me, because engaged isn't quite the same thing as married, but it is a slippery slope, can be. So
Yeah, it depends on the circumstances.
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
whole series is fun, but this is the one where you want to start, Under the Honeymoon.
They were on my list too.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, they're in Mississippi. Did you say that? Yeah.
I did say that.
They're sort of
if I didn't, I
rom-com-y.
meant it.
Yeah.
Hmm?
They're sort of rom-com-y. There's some slapsticky
Yeah,
rom-com-y
there is.
moments in them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I
And
just laughed because this guy, he's there and she's just like, he remembered, but he totally did not remember. Not why he was there at all.
I think that first one, if you're a multi-author box set reader, Under the Honeymoon appeared in the Love at First Laugh box set
Was it?
way back in the day.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think so, because I was in that one. And I think that's the only box I've been in with Jessica. So that would be it.
Interesting.
Hmm.
There's a little fun fact for you.
Fun
That's somewhere
fun
on your
facts.
Kindle that you've
Right.
long
Yes.
forgotten.
Go digging.
Happy
You have another one, Narelle?
I do. I'm just going to make, this will be a very quick mention, is because I really only had one until we accidentally happened to be interviewing Toni Shiloh for winning his trust. Yep. So winning his trust is my second one, which was a lucky drop in the lap rather than me actually finding anything. And I'm mentioning it because of the outdoors element in the story. I mean, we are hiking, we're fishing, we're kayaking. We've got an adorable 5-year-old single dad. It ticks a lot of boxes for, I know Valerie is there with this one as well. And we all enjoyed reading this book, and you go listen to the episode with Toni and you'll hear all about it earlier this month. And it's a really good one, but it showcases sort of the outdoors in Arkansas. And so when I'm thinking of the states, I'm often thinking, well, is something unique about the small town or the city or the outdoors, or where are we in terms of geography?
Yeah. And what's special about this area that this book can really show us what this place is like.
Yeah. Agree. All right, so the one on my list that you guys did not poach is Hitched in Hot Springs by Kristen Ethridge. And I honestly expected to tell you that this was just sweet clean, because it's my understanding that she's mostly writing sweet now, but there is some incredible faith content in this book. So James Kromberg got out of the Marines and returned to Hot Springs, Arkansas to help his mother run the spa that has been in their family for more than 100 years. So there are mineral hot springs in Arkansas, and that's a big tourist destination for, health bathing and that kind of thing. So, but they also just have a spa as part of it. And so his dad has recently had to be placed in a memory care facility. And so his mom is really split, trying to be there with her husband, but also keep the business afloat. And she had a ticket to a workshop run by Bridget, who is sort of, she helps women entrepreneurs increase their businesses. So she convinces James to go to this workshop for her and take notes because she is too overwhelmed and stressed and has to be with his father. So he does, because he's a good son, and he is basically the only man in the sea of women.
I was going to say women entrepreneurs and James.
Yes. And he ends up winning a door prize, which is a one-day consultation with Bridget at your business. And he's because of all the things he's seen in the Marines, he is sort of not on board with God being good. and possibly not existing. Like he's really struggling with his faith. So as he's filling out the raffle ticket, he's like, God, if you're there, mom needs this. And so then he wins and he's like, huh. So God sort of starts knocking on his heart through the course of this. And Bridget has a pretty strong faith too. She grew up from these terrible circumstances, and just rather than letting them make her bitter, she's allowing God to use her because of them, kind of thing. So it's really cute. Bridget is a fantastic heroine. I liked her. She's not like hurt and wounded and looking for a man. She's got this thriving company. She's happy where she is. She could go on being happy where she is. So the romance with James is just sort of like a bonus as opposed to the end all be all, which is kind of fun. I like that. It was just really fun. And I enjoyed being surprised by the depth of the faith arc, because again, I fully anticipated it being sweet, but and it is sweet. It is clean, but there is also faith. Enjoyed it a lot.
Cool. I'm just going to toss in an honorable mention here because I know I haven't read this book in years and years and years. I don't remember anything about it, but it takes place in the same place, A Wedding Date in Hot Springs, Arkansas by Annalisa Doughty. An oldie, and I'm sure a goodie, because Annalisa has some very fabulous books out there. So
I like her books. Yeah.
So there's one set there anyways. Cool. That's all I wrote down about it. A long time ago, I read this book.
All right. Do you have any more, Narelle?
Oh no, I'm done and dusted completely.
Well, there's Saving Grace by Amy Anguish, which we've talked about before.
Yes.
That takes place in Arkansas as well.
Oh, okay.
So Michelle is involved in a car accident that takes the lives of the other couple, leaving alive their infant daughter, and she feels compelled to take on Grace, even though she's not really in a position in life where she can do that. So her parents are official foster parents, so they take the baby in and she does the taking care of, and her best friend from forever is willing to marry her to give the baby a good home and all the stuff. Like I said, I've talked about this one before, but if any of those things sound like they might tick your boxes, then go look for Saving Grace by Amy Anguish, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Could
Was
it
that
be
a single parent episode?
I think so. And it might also have been in foster care, because we did the one foster care.
Probably foster care.
Foster care.
Because technically she's not a single parent
Yet. Yeah.
I don't remember it. Yeah, her parents are the official guardians of the child.
It's foster care. I remember now. It's all coming back to me. Yes, it's a foster care.
Okay, well, I'll believe you because it's
Narelle. She's Narelle, the knower of things. That's right.
Yeah. Well, once you start talking about something, then it all just goes back into my head, and I remember.
Excellent.
I just need the right trigger to get the brain firing.
Anyway, so that was Arkansas.
Okay.
And I've got one more.
Oh, do it.
Go for it.
You go. You guys, you'll know this one.
Well, you guys stole 2 of my 3, and now I've done my other third one. So
okay.
Tell me.
Magnolia Storms by Janet W. Ferguson.
Yeah, well, and Leaving Oxford, right, is Oxford, Mississippi.
How did we miss that one?
I don't know.
I don't know, but Magnolia Storms to me is very classic. Maggie could not save her father during Hurricane Katrina, so she's dedicated her life to meteorology in hopes of saving others from incoming storms. And now a storm is coming, and Maggie's sister, Tammy, is injured in a car accident and can't leave her oceanfront home. Right. That's tragic. And so she goes to rescue her sister and her 10-year-old niece, only to discover that her old boyfriend, Josh, lives next door, and they are sharing childcare between them because he has a little boy. When Maggie left, she and Josh broke up because her father was killed in Katrina, right? I already said that.
Yeah.
And her father was a river bar pilot, and Josh was his like apprentice or whatever. And Josh is dedicated to that career, and she's like, I can't deal with it, and she left. So now there she is back with him, and there's a hurricane bearing down. So yeah,
Remember that. Yeah.
I completely forgot this was Mississippi.
Yeah.
Like, and I've read it. It's just-
yeah, I knew
Yeah.
you would.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
should have written down the name of the town, but I actually looked it up on the map, and I'm like, that is Mississippi.
It's
Yes.
Mississippi.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
And I
maybe
think Janet-
Oxford, yeah.
Yeah. Janet moves around the South though, doesn't she? So
well,
it's
her
probably
Coastal Hearts series takes place in Florida and like a bunch of different places. So I had to
Yeah.
do some digging. I'm like, I'm sure she's got one
okay.
in Mississippi.
Okay.
Yeah.
That explains why I probably glossed over and thought, no, it wouldn't be Mississippi.
Yeah.
Yes. And often in the book descriptions, the states and the locations just aren't listed either. It
It's
might have been for this
true.
one and I just missed it, but often it's just not a focus in terms of how book descriptions are written. So it makes it a bit trickier. If you can't remember the story really well,
Yeah.
then you would have to dig in and then start putting the state in the search in the Kindle, and that starts getting time consuming.
Yeah. Well, I think
Yeah.
sometimes that's because realistically, it doesn't matter so much whether it's Arkansas or Alabama. Like it's in the South.
Unless you
Like,
live there.
well, yeah, if you live there, obviously it matters. And if you're picking up on something specific, like Arkansas is in the Ozarks or parts of it are in the Ozarks. So if you're picking up on that, the Ozark aspect of it, but then you could also be in Missouri because Missouri has the Ozarks as well. Or Louisiana if you're going to do the Cajun aspect of it. But otherwise, a lot of the South is just, like it matters. It's different than New England. But beyond that, it doesn't matter if it's Georgia or Mississippi or, that. Again, if you live there, obviously it matters. But for the story, it's less critical.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, here
Yeah.
with Magnolia storms, you've got a hurricane coming in. So obviously you're in a coastal town. You're not in Missouri.
Right.
But and if you were having tornadoes, then you're much more likely to be in Missouri.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's part of what I look for in the flavor when we're doing these setting ones is what really gives the flavor that's unique to that area.
Yeah.
And like I had completely forgotten that Honey Haven was set in Mississippi because it was just Southern to me in my memory. But as I was digging, I'm like, oh, okay, this actually is where in the South it was. But there's nothing in it that to me was like, well, that couldn't take place somewhere else. That's like, obviously.
Yeah. Well, and my notes for the Honey Haven, when I was writing it down, I was like, I think they're Mississippi because Jessica Patch lives in Mississippi, but they might not be. They might just be in the South. I didn't even, I wasn't 100% for sure.
I cracked open the first chapter in the look inside and read far enough to confirm that we were in fact in Mississippi. Because we've been caught out before.
We have.
I mean me.
All of us.
Yeah.
And then there was the whole Alabama, Arkansas thing that I was having trouble with. I'm sorry, people who live there. I know it's not the same place, but the words just, and do I dare tell you that I've started a little spreadsheet with these state names and stuff, and I kept like looking at the wrong name. I'm like, oh, the other one. I mean, so there's a little mental block slippage in there.
Sorry.
They wanted to be the same place, and they're not.
Not.
All
right. Do you have any more? Narelle and I are tapped out.
I'm done.
Okay.
So done.
So yeah, if you have books in Mississippi or Arkansas, or if you have thoughts on why it matters, specifically what state it is versus just the nebulous South, we could have a discussion about that too. That'd be fun. Leave us a comment. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for joining us. You can find information about the podcast at inspiromance.com/storychats. If you are over on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And we will look forward to seeing you again next week. In the meantime, don't forget to fall in love with a good book. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.